Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 658. It is October 15th, 2020. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined by Brad Simons.
What's up?
Ed Mitchell.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
We got a good show lined up tonight, guys. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I want to remind people of a few things. Specifically, I forgot to mention this last week. Maybe I did, actually, because it was Chris Davis's birthday last week. But he put out his Game of All Time video recently. So I want to make sure people watch that. We were talking about videos, top 10 videos, before we started recording here. And it reminded me, we have some of our Game of All Time. In fact, myself, Chris Davis, and Brad's top 10 games of all time videos are all...
Mine's like 3 years old.
That's true. That is true.
But I don't even care about half those games anymore.
Like
really?
Chaos Blood.
Yeah, look, you put in the effort, I will make an updated video for you.
Oh, fuck you.
Chris Davis just can't get enough of making videos for us.
Not only that, but like mine was the first video in like a, we're going to do a new thing. From now on, our videos are going to be like more interview style, It's going to be two people. And I was like, I don't really want to do that, but I guess so, since I'm the first one. So my video's like that. Now no one else's videos are going to be like that.
I'll do mine like that, Brad.
We stopped doing that.
I'll do mine like that.
There you go.
2025, my top 10 videos of all time, top 10 games of all time.
Good Lord.
If
Anyways,
if you don't produce a Game of the Year video this year, you're gonna put out a goat.
Dude, I'll produce a top 10 games of 2020. I'll talk about each game for 30 seconds.
That's fine. It's a video.
It is whatever you want.
You know what you should do? You should steal Crispy's idea that he didn't do last year. Do it this year.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to actually talk about it, because if someone actually does go along and do it, it'd be fantastic. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is Chris Davis put out his top 10 games of all time video recently. Mine has also been released recently. Brad's was like 3 years ago, but you should still check it out. They're all great videos.
Is there a game was on all three of our lists yet?
No. Not even no overlap.
I don't even know any overlap. Yeah.
Me and Chris Davis has some overlap.
I will say this: there's overlap in terms of like there's a franchise. I think maybe.
Overlap, right?
Yeah, there is one franchise that appears on all three of our lists.
Yeah,
but they're all three different choices from that franchise. Right. So if you're curious about that, check it out. You can find it at 4playernetwork.com. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Check those out. Let us know what you think. I also want to mention for the Revival Club, it's October. We're playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm playing that right now. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I'm going to be recording a podcast about that with Brad, right?
Yeah.
And a community guest in early November. I recorded a podcast about Bully finally just this past week. I'm going to be getting that up here in the next couple days. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That was an interesting, weird little game, but I'm glad I finally played it. But anyways, enough about that. Before we proceed into new stuff that we haven't talked about yet, do we want to talk about Hades at all? Everybody seems
No.
It's your last chance, Brad.
I've played over 70 hours of it, and it's now getting to the point where I kind of feel like gross. No, I don't hate it. Obviously, I adore the game. There's still a lot of new content. I mean, it's not like I've done everything in the game, not even close. But I'm starting to feel gross when I look at my other games.
Collecting dust.
I'll be like, I'm gonna play some other games today. 13 Sentinels, man, come on! And then I start playing Hades, and then 4 hours later, I hate myself.
I also had a similar experience with hating myself with the game. I finally beat the first DLC of Neo.
Wait, Neo 1.
Neo 1.
Yes.
And I decided that this game I'm done with it, and I never want to play Neo 1 ever again. So I quit the game and I uninstalled it as soon as I beat that first DLC boss, and I don't even care what happens in the other two DLCs. I'm done.
See, I had that exact reaction.
Anyways.
I had that exact same reaction when I finished like Neo 1, like just the final boss. I finished it and I was like, great, that was an amazing game. I never want to play it again.
Yeah.
But I keep forgetting about Neo 2, which came out this year.
Yeah, are you done with Neo 1 or are you done with Neo the franchise?
I'm done with
No,
Neo.
I mean,
I
not-
want to play Neo 2 on the PC. But
I am
I'm not
being
sure.
sarcastic when
I'm
I
gonna
say
play
I
Neo
never want to play
2
it
on
again.
my PS5.
I mean, yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Brad, are you still getting a PS5? You haven't given up on it?
That's the plan. I mean, I pretty much laid out what would convince me to not or to cancel my pre-order or whatever. And that's that if we get, I don't know if I shared this on the podcast.
The Switch
if we
Pro.
get hard, solid details on the Switch Pro, they're like, this is what the Switch Pro is. This is what it's going to cost. It's going to come out in March, right around the time of Monster Hunter Rise, and it's going to be good. It's going to be 4K, whatever the rumors are saying. But it has to come out in spring. Then I would happily cancel my PS5 pre-order.
What if the UI on the Switch Pro is horrible? What if it has the tiniest little icons and the biggest news sections? And
All right, it's funny. I see what you're doing there. No, we're gonna talk about the PlayStation 5 UX in the second segment. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
UX?
User experience.
user experience.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, UI, user, UX, whatever you want to call it. Oh man, I had a thought and Brad just fucking killed it. You were talking. Oh, was it y'all that I was talking to about my PS5 pre-order through Target? And I was like, how do they charge you at the time you pay for it or whatever? And there was a pending charge on my credit card the moment I put the pre-order through it. And then I was talking to someone and they were like, oh yeah, it'll just disappear eventually. And then they'll charge you. It is still sitting there, just pending on my account. And it's been there since, whenever the PS5
It will.
I think that is
Walmart did it and it disappeared. It took a 2 or 3
I think
weeks.
That shit's just gonna sit. I think that shit's just that pending charge is just gonna sit there until they ship it, which is weird. I don't know. We'll see. The moment it disappears, I'll let everybody know. Anyways, Brad, you weren't here last week.
No.
So why don't we start with you with
Sure.
your game?
Yeah, one of those games I felt terrible I didn't play more of because I was playing Hades.
I thought for some reason I was picking up negative vibes in this game from you, but it sounds like you played more of it than I expected.
I did put out a tweet that said Crash sucks. And it was a tweet that nobody could reply to. So, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I've been playing Crash Bandicoot 4. Ask me anything.
What is Crash Bandicoot? I've never played.
Oh, well,
What?
It's a
You said ask
Naughty
you
Dog
anything.
developed a platformer series from the PlayStation 1. It was one
I
of
take
the
it
more
back.
iconic
I played
PlayStation
Crash
1
Bandicoot
franchise.
1 on Uncharted 4.
Okay. Well, you pretty much played every Crash Bandicoot then, because this is the same shit. No. This is Crash Bandicoot 4, made by a different developer. This is not made by Naughty Dog, of course, or Activision.
Isn't this Toys for
Or-
Bob?
It's
Yep.
Activision owns it now. It's Toys for Bob developed, and this is a very faithful follow-up to a Crash Bandicoot game. Honestly, it probably feels more like a successor to Crash Bandicoot 1. Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3 had some like dumb shit in it where you're like, I don't know. I only ever played the first one. I dabbled in 2 and 3. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'll tell you this much. It's Crash Bandicoot as fuck. So if you really like Crash Bandicoot, this is probably going to be a dream game for you because they brought it back and it's Crash Bandicoot as hell. Now the question is are you a fan of Crash Bandicoot? My answer to that question is kind of not really. One thing you need to know is that this game is very difficult, like Crash Bandicoot 1 was. 2 and 3 I don't think were quite as difficult, but this one is fucking up there in terms
like
of
Super
difficulty.
Mario Sunshine levels of difficult?
Well, it's not difficult in the same ways as Super. Actually, we'll get into that. Actually, so I've always had frustrations with this series, and that's because I think back in the day there was like an excuse for it because Crash Bandicoot, I think, succeeded a lot on its visual styles, like very cartoony and like animated, right? And oh, you die and it's like there's like a cartoony death and stuff, right? But it always felt a little bullshit, like the hit detection, and combined with the fact that it was very hard to see when there are portions like you see now that are side scrolling and it's fine, right? But a lot of the game you're kind of walking into the screen. I mean, you're kind of walking into the background. Sometimes you're walking towards the screen, and it's actually, in my opinion, back in the day, I vividly remember this, and even now with this new game, I have a hard time like judging where I am mid jump, where various obstacles are.
That's what I wanted to bring up, Brad. Is that's kind of one of the reasons I never got into Crash, was just because I never had a fun time with just the visuals of the game. That whole like running toward. I know that's kind of part of the draw of the game. Is like, oh, it's challenging because you got to go fast, kind of, and you're running towards the camera, and a lot of the times things are chasing you. But I wasn't a fan of that. And it's just kind of one of those. I've never really been into it, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, hardcore platforming fans, there's a lot to like here. There's some like really cool level designs, and if you like Crash, this is a good Crash game. But I've always, even in this game, they introduced like a circle, like that you see underneath him when you're in the air, and that's supposed to help guide you to the platform. But the problem isn't so much that I don't know where I am. It's that the game is not putting him where I feel like it feels kind of random where I am, and so I'm looking at the circle and realigning myself based on that circle, because it's really hard to tell how far you are away from that next platform. Like there's a level I played today when I was capturing, or before I was capturing footage, where there's a platform and then there's like a pendulum thing moving back and forth, right? And I had to jump onto the platform. I had to time it to where I jump on the platform and then jump onto the next platform so this thing didn't hit me. I couldn't tell if this thing was in front of the platform, over the platform, or behind the platform. It was that bad. Weird. I was like, I have no idea. Like,
well, this sounds very similar to
the distance.
This sounds very similar to the issues we were having with Super Mario Sunshine, and how there's so many of those levels rely on trying to like land on those ropes, but you can never really tell. You can never really judge.
Yeah, I also posted a tweet today of me missing a rope twice that I was for sure jumping at. I thought I was jumping at perfectly, but I could have been wrong. But it's hard to fucking tell in this game. So, but that's sort of like the most infamous Crash Bandicoot level of all time is this level where you have to cross like this bridge that goes back into the background, and there are planks that are missing, right? And there's like fucking turtles and shit on the bridge, and you have to jump from plank to plank, but like there's some of them are missing, and just landing on the right planks was so hard. There's a rope bridge with like planks. It was so hard.
That sounds awful.
It was awful. But there's one thing that this game does. They introduce modern mode. So classic Crash Bandicoot has like lives, right? And they're long stages and there's checkpoints. And if you run out of lives, you have to start the stage over again, right? You don't start from the checkpoint. Well, if you turn on modern mode, now you could just start from the checkpoints as many times as you want. They basically remove lives from the game, which is nice.
Thank God.
And I am playing it that way, but it's still really hard because the checkpoints are kind of spread out. But there is some dynamic checkpointing where if you die like over and over and over again, they'll just put in they'll cleverly put in a closer checkpoint.
To reduce frustration.
You know what I mean?
That
to reduce it's smart, and I think it's something that the series has done before. But here's the rub. If you're playing it in modern mode, which I am, which I think a lot of people are, because it's a very difficult game. If you're not playing with lives, all of a sudden every single thing you collect in the game doesn't matter anymore. It's like you no longer have to care about the coins that once you get 100, like think about a Mario game. You get 100 coins, you get an extra life, right? In this game, you get fruit. You're collecting fruit, right? And if you get 100, you get an extra life or whatever. You do these bonus stages to break all the crates, to get all these fruits, to get all these extra lives. All of a sudden, that doesn't matter anymore. So you could basically just ignore secrets and all the side little bonus areas in the levels, because it doesn't matter anymore, with the exception of if you want to try to get everything in the game. Now, some people play with Crash Bandicoot that way, and I'm guessing that real fans of the Crash Bandicoot series, like real faithful, someone who has a Crash tattoo or whatever, they're the kind of player that only played these games to like 100% them, which is insanely difficult in this game. And but the problem is it's all or none. It's breaking every single crate in every single level, you know. And if you're not going to get all of the crates, then you might as well get none of them, because it doesn't matter, because all that matters is that you get all of them. There are unlockables in this game. You can unlock all these cool new skins for the characters, and you play as several characters. Here's one of the different characters you play as. You can unlock cool new skins, but the only way to get those skins is if you get every single challenge in a level, which is to get a certain amount of fruits, to get all of the crates, to beat the stage without dying more than 3 times, and to find like the hidden gem. And only if you get all 6 challenge gems in a stage do you get a skin. So I am not encouraged to get partial of anything. It is literally every single bonus thing or none of it. Like literally none of it. A partial of anything doesn't matter. And because I'm not going to play it like a fucking crazy person, I basically have no incentive to try to find secret bonus state areas in a level, try to get all the crates. I'm running past crates, and that's like the whole thing about Crash Bandicoot, is finding all the crates.
So quite literally, you're playing this as like a straight, like, get to the end of the level, and that's it. Yeah,
that's it. The good news is the level design's still really good, and there's still enough challenge there. You know, because really cool, Crash Bandicoot is hard. Yeah, it's a great looking game. It's a great looking game. Yeah, you play as several different characters. You play as Neo Cortex. You play as this lady. You play as some other dude, and you know, of course, Crash. And you know, it's cool. The level designs are cool, and they're always nice to look at. That's the thing. They've always been nice to look at. That was Crash's thing. It was nice to look at. That's Naughty Dog's thing, even. Is that their games are always really nice to look at, and this still is. And you know,
this does surprise me, because this, like I said, this is a Toys for Bob game, and they're known most recently for doing like the remake of Spyro the Dragon, the Spyro trilogy, which is looks great in its own right, but it's like I wasn't expecting that necessarily to translate to doing their own completely original.
It's funny you bring up Spyro is a game that's also like. Real Spyro fans only like 100%ed that game, right? Because if you're not trying to 100% Spyro, what the fuck are you even doing? All you do is collect gems, and if you're not trying to collect all the gems, why are you playing the game?
I don't know why I did it.
The difference is Spyro is not extremely difficult. Spyro is not extremely difficult to try to 100%. This game is extremely difficult to try to 100%. I just wish I could be rewarded for, I don't know, 50%ing the game or 75%ing a level. Nope, it's 100%.
Go big or go home, Brad.
Go big or go home. And I start to think like, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of really clever design and like the bonus areas, but I literally don't even need to go to the bonus areas, which was like another trademark thing of the Crash series. Is you get on a platform, it takes you off to a secret little area, and you have to like really trickily clever. You have to try to break all the boxes while not falling into pits. Does anybody here play the Crash Bandicoot game?
Yeah.
You know, you'd think as someone who's hosted a video game podcast for as long as I have, I would have at least tried Crash Bandicoot, but the answer is no.
Okay, well, one of the new things in this game are these masks, and you're seeing one of them here. You have this like super mask that like makes you like spin like crazy, and you have like a crazy spin double jump, and they do some really clever level design around that, and it's just kind of fun to use. The mask I got in the previous couple of worlds was like you see it in a lot of platformers, but it's almost always cool where you can some platforms phase into one dimension and some are phased into another, and you're like switching them on the fly. So like I have to jump, phase up, make a wall like disappear, and then make it reappear because the platform on the other side. You're like remember Prince of Persia Forgotten Sands where you're freezing the water?
Yep.
Very similar to that. A lot of platformers kind of do it, and it's always cool, and it's cool here as well. So it's like I'm playing it, I'm kind of enjoying it, and it is challenging, but I just wish I was getting the true Crash experience. But that's, I mean,
you could always switch it back to non-modern mode and just play it like a traditional Crash game.
Well, that was going to be part of my question, was since you can play in modern mode, would it be possible to farm fruit and things like that to earn a bunch of lives, and then you just switch back and have like 20 or so lives?
I don't know if that's how it works actually, because you don't even get lives are not even a thing that exists when you have modern mode on. Like the fruit just don't do anything. Oh, look at
it's probably for that exact reason they don't want you to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Which, you know, again, you could play it that way, but know that it is going to be a much more difficult old school game. These levels are long. You lose all your lives. You're starting over.
Like the whole game or the level?
No, not the whole game, Nick. The level. You're starting the level over again.
I don't know.
It's not a fucking NES game. But yeah,
and the checkpoints aren't that fair either. So
this game is probably like a perfect game for a Crash Bandicoot fan. I don't see why they wouldn't be like super pleased. See, there's a bonus thing I just passed because I was like, what's the point? But a more casual fan who's going to play in modern mode, I don't know. It's only okay. Maybe wait for a price drop or whatever. But it's nice to see that, you know, Crash Bandicoot's back. I mean, makes me wonder if they're going to bring back Spyro. Is that even like, is that a good enough series to bring back properly? I don't know.
You know what they should bring back?
That's a good question.
Babies need something to play. So
No,
fuck off.
Instead of bringing back Spyro, they should just bring back Ape Escape.
yes,
Way better.
yes, fucking
Sure.
yes. Bring back Ape Escape. Anyways,
That feels to me like that would be another game that Toys for Bob would end up with.
yeah.
And I'm sure it would be a lot better than this. Nothing against this. The dozens of Crash fans
Well,
out there, I'm
this
sure
is definitely the more hardcore platformer. So if you know if you're
Yeah.
The one thing about Spyro versus this is that like Spyro has like 14 other games that people could play after
Yeah,
the
that's
trilogy
true.
or whatever. This one is like the fourth one or whatever.
well, there's other bad Crash Bandicoot games, but I don't think anyone cares about any of the other.
When was the
Crash
last
games.
time Crash was like considered like really great? I mean,
It was the
CCR?
third one that came out that Naughty Dog put out on the PlayStation.
Well, there's also
Gotcha,
CTR, so
And Crash Team Racing, yeah.
Oh yeah, that. Everyone always talks about that one.
I mean,
All right,
that's the one like kart racer that challenges Mario Kart properly. So,
Bitch, you clearly have forgotten about Diddy Kong Racing.
no, I remember Diddy Kong
Diddy Kong
Racing.
Racing is much better than Crash Team Racing.
Haha!
Wow.
There are dozens of us.
Is it because it has planes and boats, or
No,
like what is the
it's
reasoning
It's
behind
because
that?
it's because it's got charm and personality, and I love it. Okay.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm
sure, it
sorry.
has charm, but
I'm
it also
sorry.
has some of the most bullshit boss races in the fucking world.
Only
That's-
if you're bad.
No,
Well, I mean,
Like
okay,
the-
let's move on. Let's switch gears. Edward.
Yes.
Don't you mean less shift gears? Come on, Nick.
Well, we're not really
Racing
talking about a racing game, so that doesn't
We
that
were.
transition doesn't entirely make sense.
Entirely?
Oh my God, Ed, please save us. Tell us about Wildfire.
Wildfire. Yeah, so this is a it's a Kickstarter game where it's kind of like Mark of the Ninja in the sense that like you have little like levels that you kind of traverse through and you're trying to avoid being seen by enemies and stuff like that. And you have different goals throughout the levels, kind of optional objectives, little mini goals of don't be detected, don't kill anyone, stuff like that.
Is the footage not playing?
The footage is not playing.
why isn't it playing?
It is now.
Why would you break it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not moving.
Yeah, yes. It is on the screen. It is not moving is the problem.
But the other like kind of hook to the game is that you have the ability to control different elements. So you start out with fire, and you can throw the fireball and
Hey, why is the frame rate so bad though?
the 0 frames. You're seeing?
it's 1 frame per minute.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Sorry.
So yeah, so you get the ability to you start off with the ability to control fire, and with the ability to control fire, you can throw the fireball at like different patches of grass, and then when they light on fire, then the enemies will get like scared and run away. And if they're scared and run away, they don't pay attention to you, so you can like run right by them. But generally, they see you and try to attack you with their swords, and you have no weapons or whatever to fight them back. So if they see you, you pretty much have to run away, hide, or try to scare them by throwing fire at them or whatever. Later on, you get the ability to control water and then eventually earth. And water is like you can turn it into ice once you upgrade it enough or whatever. But generally speaking, like fire is the most useful one because that's the one you start out with, and you actually get the ability.
The one in the title.
Yeah, you actually get the ability, which is super cool, to rocket jump with fire. So you can go like hot. You can traverse up way more than you would before. The catch is that if you do it enough times, you catch on fire, and if you're not like near water, then you can die.
So
you see,
what
I'm
point
like
do you
kind of
unlock Captain Planet?
Yeah, I mean, effectively, yeah. But
it's kind of reminds me of Mark of the Ninja, but with fire.
That's what he said.
That's literally the comparison.
That's how I
Oh,
introduced.
sorry, I was watching the footage.
He said that when the footage was not even moving, Brad. Like
No,
it
I
was
was reading-
like,
I
it
was
was a
reading chat.
screenshot on the screen.
He can only focus on one thing at a time, guys. Be nice.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's a super cool game. I've been kind of like chill playing it, like playing a couple maps at a time. I would go back and play other maps to kind of like get all those extra like unlocks or whatever.
Is this the full game? Like, is it already out, or is this still
full game.
being
Full
developed?
game.
Okay.
It is out. I don't know if it was an early access or it was just like Kickstarter straight to release or whatever, but it's cool. It's cool. The different you can upgrade your earth ability later to like throw the earth ball or whatever at an enemy and they'll get like entangled in vines and they can't move. So I mean, I definitely think it kind of scratches that Mark of the Ninja itch that I kind of miss, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's that. I have
Nothing's
that itch.
Nothing's quite reached that level for me.
No, not at all. That game was so good. How dare you even evoke the name?
Yeah, I would love to play a sequel, but then Don't Starve came out, and that sort of
Ruined everything.
well, it sort of paid their
Ruined
bills.
the chances. Yeah,
Bit of a Shadow Complex situation there.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
for
this
sure.
is it really is a cool game, and I've been enjoying my time with
Wait,
it.
why are you playing as a hamster right now? Did I miss
You're
something?
playing as a bobcat. It's like,
But you
certain,
weren't a bobcat a minute ago, right? You were a
No,
person.
you're a person. Yeah.
Okay.
This is just like a bonus level. I don't think Chris can like fast forward through it, but I do play another level where I maybe control the elements a little bit more.
Unfortunately, not.
Yeah, I actually get pretty frustrated here at the end because I end up like falling down a cliff like 3 or 4 times during this footage. So, fortunately, I didn't get to show like more of the like elemental stuff. But like the fire, the way the fire works is that like you can light grass on fire, and like I said, it'll scare people away. But it'll also like burn other areas near it that are also flammable, and so you
it'll
can
propagate.
Like, yeah, it's wildfire, right? So it can just propagate and get bigger and bigger until eventually it just like is this massive amount of fire everywhere. There's one level where you have to like blow up these little explosives in order to break open this little thing of water, which so the water will raise and so you can reach the X of the level. And if you have to go to the end of the level, grab fire, bring it all the way back, and if you bring it all the way back and drop it, then all these wood bridges will just burn until eventually they all explode. And it's like massive.
Man.
Yeah, you're watching me fail miserably at the platforming here. It's I think I
sure
failed.
that's a bobcat?
It's a bobcat.
Very much to me looks like a guinea pig.
It's a very big guinea pig if it is.
It is a very large man-eating guinea pig. Yes.
And I missed the jump again. Ugh.
Don't you just love capturing
Turn
footage?
off the footage. Turn off the footage, Chris. I'm tired of watching.
This is like
Suffer.
This is like me and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order all over again. It's not.
It was so nice to just keep that footage looping forever and ever and ever on Nick.
Nick doesn't have any footage from Mortal Shell, right? So we can just keep playing.
I do have footage of Mortal Shell.
So we can actually see an actual level of me doing well. But yeah, it is super cool.
We could just talk about something completely unrelated until you get to that part of the footage.
It's gonna be a while.
We could talk about Hades.
I should have cut this out. I can't believe I forgot to.
So what can you do besides be like a what did you say it was? A guinea pig or hamster?
It's a bobcat, Chris Davis. It's
Allegedly.
a
The
bobcat.
world's most unsuccessful bobcat.
It's so funny because when I played this level through the first time, I nailed this jump the very first run, and then now that I'm recording footage,
Sure you did.
There it is. I did it.
You finally did it. Hey, so can you become other animals other than a bobcat?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's weird.
but you can you run into enemy bobcats that can like smell you, and so you can't just hide in the bushes or whatever around them.
Gotcha.
So kind of like power creep or whatever. But you can at one point, if you put a bobcat to sleep, which you can do by like landing on their head or whatever, you can in this one level you can pick them up and then they smell like a bobcat, and so other bobcats can't like tell who you are.
Oh.
Them on you yourself.
That's
Yeah.
kind of like the equivalent of
I
like
holding them on my
The
shoulder
Walking
and I'm
Dead,
just
where you're like
rubbing over me.
rubbing the gore all
Right.
over you, like zombies don't smell you. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I get
the other like crux of the thing is that you're saving like your fellow villagers or whatever. So that's what this level is.
I looked over and I was like, "What is this? Lemmings?" All of a sudden, now you
Yeah.
have like all these followers
it's
behind you.
followers. But I mean, it's cool. I like the. I wish I had captured more footage of like the fire going crazy because it's pretty spectacular to watch the fire. Just
I
like
heard
grow.
it was wild, but
It is wild.
seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool game. Recommend
cool.
if you wanna scratch that Mark of the Ninja itch maybe.
Well, first of all, if our listeners are listening to this and thinking, "What's Mark of the Ninja?" You should play Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't satiate you entirely, play Wildfire. There we go. I think that's a
then
solid
play
recommendation.
Gunpoint. And then after you finish Gunpoint, then play Wildfire.
I agree with Brad there.
Which one is
Definitely
Gunpoint?
play Gunpoint was the one with like the trench coat guy.
Yeah, the trench coat guy.
Yeah, the infinite
Oh.
like
Oh,
jump
here we go.
ability.
I actually lit myself on fire.
There
and
is
then I
fire
killed
in this
everyone.
game.
Oh, that's actually really cool looking fire. I
you
mean,
You
this
just
is
burned all those.
Yeah,
oh my
I burned all my
God.
villager. They all fell off and died.
Wow.
okay. I'm glad we got to that part because like
Yeah.
that is pretty spectacular. I wasn't really sure what to expect because this obviously is like a, it's a side-scrolling like smaller budget indie game, but it has kind of a cool art style. But like I wasn't sure how the fire would like look and whatever. But that was pretty spectacular. Lots of tall flames moving very quickly, very overwhelming.
You have to throw them. So as you
Wait,
can see,
throw what?
you have to throw the villagers like across this little pit because it's too big for them to cross by themselves. And so you see me
Yeah.
like throwing them, and then then one of the enemies sees them, so he just runs backwards into the pit, into the spike
Wow, what an idiot!
pit.
That's funny. Cool. Well, thank you. This is interesting. I've never heard of this. This is
Yeah, yeah,
Wildfire. So if you're, again, check this out. If you have not played Mark of the Ninja, make sure you check that out too, since that came up multiple times. All right, shift gears again. I have not been playing Hades because I stumbled into. Well, I didn't really stumble into it. I picked this game up. I picked up Mortal Shell before I moved, so like 6 weeks ago or something, and then got distracted. I honestly forgot that I had bought it. And then I opened up the Epic Game Store the other day and I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot I have this. I can play it. So I started it up and like all of a sudden it was 4 hours later and I was like, this game is sick. Okay, so this is a Dark Souls clone if you weren't already aware.
No.
I thought this was more of an Ashen clone.
No. This game, honestly, so I've played, obviously played a lot of Souls games, played a lot of Souls clones, quote unquote. But I feel like this perhaps might be like one of the most obvious homages to Dark Souls. Like it even has like a very similar kind of like world that you explore. It's very dark and gothic and just like all kinds of like really cryptic characters and like all the dialogue that you.
Well, Chris Davis hate the story. That's the real question.
Yes, yeah. Chris Davis will hate the story because
is it a legible story that I don't have to read item descriptions to understand?
No. Here's the thing. I'm glad you asked that, Chris Davis, because you will hate this game with a passion. Because this game's kind of there's two things that kind of make this game stand out. The major thing is, one of the major ones is all of the items in this game, every single item. When you pick it up, it doesn't tell you what it does. You have no clue what it does. You have to learn what it does by using it, and you build familiarity with all of your items.
That's a very roguelike-y thing.
Oh,
I mean, that doesn't turn me off.
I mean, but like that is like it is. There are these are like the kinds of items you would be finding in Dark Souls. Like everything is like really cryptic, and it's like, what the fuck does this do? I don't know. I'm just going to use it and see what the effect is. One time I used something having no idea what it is, and it fucking poisoned me. And I was like, I don't have no idea what the benefit of using this is, but I'm sure there's a purpose for it. But as you use the items, it like kind of fleshes out the details of the item, and until you build like you max out the familiarity, and then it gives you like a full kind of idea of the different ways you can use the item.
Okay.
And it's from like everything down from like the most unimportant thing, like a mushroom that gives you health, up to like really cryptic, like, you know, masks that you find, or like spears, you know, just the kinds of things you would find in a Dark Souls game that make you go, what the fuck is this? There's all kinds of that stuff. The other thing that this game, like, where it gets its name, Mortal Shell, and again, this is stuff that Chris Davis hates. I have no idea what's really happening in the story. You kind of wake up, you're just this like white, expressionless creature, like humanoid creature
with muscles, kind of looking.
Yeah,
thing.
he reminds me of, if you've watched Westworld, like in the opening sequence where they're
right.
putting together, you can see them putting together the androids and they're just like white muscle. Yeah, it reminds me of that. But when you're in that form, you're immortal. You can't die, but you're trying to, I think the only way to escape this, what I've kind of picked up on, I think, is kind of like the only way to escape this land that you're in is you have to inhabit the body of a mortal person. So you kind of you find these fallen soldiers throughout this land, and you take over, you inhabit their body, and when you inhabit their body, you take their special. Oh my God, can you hear that? Oh my God.
Only slightly.
Hold on. Vent for a second.
Well, I mean, I know a little bit about this game. One of the cool things about Mortal Shell does the blocking mechanic, where you like temporarily turn into like stone or like a statue, kind of.
You're like a Tanuki suit?
Well, it's to sort of absorb. That's how you block. You absorb a hit, and then you unfreeze yourself, and then you do your hit. So you can be winding up for a really slow hit, turn into a statue, let the enemy hit you,
which will stun them, and then you let go,
then you
and then all
the statue,
and you're like, your momentum carries through that.
Yes, it does. It's really cool. It makes combat really, really fun in this game. Like I'm loving the combat in this game. It's every bit as challenging and precision based as something like Dark Souls. Like you when you take hits, you feel it. Like everything has weight in this game, so every hit you take is just like, oh fuck, that sucks. Like I don't know if I'm gonna survive that, or if I'm gonna be able to like even carry on this run. Like I feel like I need to. I feel like half the time I'm like, oh God, I just took too much damage. I should probably run back and heal myself. But so yeah, it's kind of combat's kind of like twofold. Like Brad described, you have the shell, which lets you harden your body and take hits. And when you die, like if you lose all of your health, you get like thrown out of your body. Like the shell stays there and it like freezes all the enemy that hits you. It kind of like freezes them in place, and you're shoved out of that body. And you at that point you have like a fraction. You have like almost no health at all. So the idea is you have one chance to get back to your body, and that fills your life bar all the way back up again. And then at that point, if you die again, and it's like a Souls game. You have to go back and get to your body before you die in order to reclaim your souls. Which in this game is the souls are tar. So you're collecting tar. I mean, but like, go ahead.
I really want to play this. I've been wanting to play this. The only reason I haven't is I heard the game is like 10 hours long or some shit like that. And I don't want to play a Souls game that's so short.
Dude, I don't think this is 10 hours long. How long to beat says like 15 to 16 hours. I've played this game for 5 hours. I feel like I've only found one shell. There's like 4 I think you can find in the game. And I'm still in kind of like the first area. I haven't fought or I haven't defeated a single like you would normally describe as like a boss fight in a Souls game. I found one and had my ass handed to me. In fact, I fight him at the end of this footage, and I did probably the best I've done so far.
How long to beat says 10 hours?
I've played for 6 hours so far.
16 hours. Completionist means literally everything in the game.
I've played for 6 hours so far, and I feel like I'm nowhere.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It might kind of sneak up on you, and all of a sudden.
I mean, it might, but like the world, like I said, the idea is to find these 4. You have to find all of these shells, right? And each shell has their own skill tree, has their own set of abilities, has their own fighting style. There's all these different weapons. I have one. I haven't found any of them. outside of the one that you find when you first enter this land. Like when you first start the game, the first thing you stumble across is the first shell.
I believe there's.
I have not. You do go back. You go to a place kind of in the center of the map, and it kind of reminds me of Firelink Shrine. And you can there's all these like symbols on the wall, and when you touch the symbols, it gives you like a vision, and you can see this like you can see like these quick cuts of these people you're trying to find like wandering through the world, which kind of gives you hints as to where to look. I haven't gotten to them yet, and this game is hard as fuck. Like all these enemies are hard as fuck, so I'm dying a lot, and I'm just kind of inching forward through this game. But I will say, like, the item system, the combat system, the world, like all the characters are really Dark Souls-esque. Like,
Is there a lot of bear traps?
There are a lot of bear traps.
I watched someone play this, and he kept stepping on bear traps over and over and over again.
You have to be careful about bear traps. Enemies can step into bear traps, so you can kind of like taunt them and kind of like lead them into them, which gives you another opening, obviously, to attack, which is great. But yeah, there's been a few times where I've been running in a panic and I've stepped into a bear trap. But yeah, like even if you're looking at the footage right now, like I've barely upgraded my first weapon. Like I don't know how. I'm going to be shocked if I do finish this game in 16 hours, because I feel at the pace that I'm moving, it's going to take me closer to 30. I mean,
if How Long to Beat says the completionist is 16.
But it doesn't make sense to me. I looked at that. It doesn't make sense to me. Based on what I've done so far, I have no idea how someone finds everything and beats everything in this game in 16 hours. I can't even beat the first boss yet. I've gotten close. But like,
how many bosses are there?
I don't know. It's probably not many. I mean, the world, it is a smaller scale world. I'm not saying this is like...
Look, I don't even mean to like act like 10 hours or whatever is like makes a game bad. It's just, I feel like when I'm going to play an RPG, I want some...
There's meat in this game. If you're worried about there not being enough meat on the bones in this game, I don't think that's a problem. I've played this game for 6
meat on
hours.
the bone, but it's a really short bone.
But like... then we end up in these situations where it's like we have all these different games that we want to play, but like we don't have time because they're all like 60 hours. I feel like we're always
that I talked myself out of playing Ashen for the same fucking reason, because that was also like an hour.
To me, this feels much bigger than Ashen to me, and I loved Ashen, but this feels much bigger than that to me.
I'm a Neo guy. I spend 80 hours playing a Souls-like. You know?
If you can play Neo for 80 hours, I think you could probably get a lot out of this experience.
Just because the game isn't 80 hours long doesn't mean it can't be a quality, you know. Sometimes a short good bone is just what you need in the middle of like a year like this to kind of cleanse your palate.
Like a short bone.
I got nothing, guys.
And if I have a preference, I want the long bone. But you know,
this is like a medium range bone. I feel like this is like a medium range bone, guys. This is like it's like an average bone.
An average bone, yeah.
This is like a normal sized bone.
And sometimes it's just as good.
It's
not the
it is not. It is
Spider-Man. I don't even understand. That had to have been staged. That was too good.
Wait, what?
The chat, the haste like screen cap. I think Carlos was playing Spider-Man, or he was in chat. Somebody was playing Spider-Man, and Carlos says his package. I mean, Spider-Man's package looks fucking. His bulge looks fucking massive. And Bex says, actually, pretty average. Carlos says,
yeah, destroyed, wrecked.
This is the best.
That was pretty good.
But
nothing you said about this game, Nick, has turned me off of it. I don't have an issue with discovering organically what an item does. I don't have to read an item.
Everything about this game is you discover organically by reading item descriptions and shit. There's nothing straightforward about this story that isn't also done in Dark Souls. This is a love letter to Dark Souls, 100%.
That's fine. The thing I take issues with Dark Souls games is that I am a character inserted into a world and I have no idea why I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's what this is.
You've already told me.
Chris Davis-
You told
Wait,
me.
have you played a Dark Souls game?
You understand that mystery is like compelling to some people, right?
No, Nick, you've already said exactly what this character's motivation is.
No. That is what I think is happening because it's not. That is my best guess as to what is happening because they do not tell you anything about what is actually happening in this game.
Dude, Nick, this enemy looks like from
This.
Secret of the Ooze. He kind of.
Oh yeah.
Razor or Toka Razor?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's a movie I haven't thought about in 20 years.
Yeah. This is that boss that I've been trying to beat. Like I fought him like 20 times so far and haven't quite got there yet.
Maybe that's why it's
I
going to
can't
take
believe that
16 hours.
original Ninja Turtles movie that came out in like 1989 was so good. It didn't have any right to be as good as it was, but it was actually really good.
It was dark.
Yeah, it was
Surprisingly dark.
good.
Wait, were you able to actually leave that boss fight arena and just go wherever?
Yeah.
Oh,
So here's one
okay.
thing I will say about the game that is nice because if a lot of people talk about Dark Souls in terms of like, well, that first game is so magical because you can kind of go anywhere and do anything without going through loading screens or going into these like broken off areas. And there are some loading screens and stuff. Like when you go in, you find these like hidden like dungeons kind of throughout the map that are also really hard to get through. And some of those have some loading screens, but for the most part, this is very similar to like original Dark Souls, where there's all these interconnected areas that are kind of distinct, and you're just kind of exploring with no real direction in this game. It's just kind of like go in one, like pick a direction you want to go that way and see what you find, and hope you survive. And eventually, you'll find an item maybe that gives you a hint as to what you could maybe do next. If you don't feel like you know what to do next, keep exploring until you find something that fits together. And that's just kind of how the flow of the game works. It's very original Dark Souls. But yes, this I'm not sure if all boss fights are like this, Chris Davis, but this boss fight is you walk into this room, the health bar appears, you start wailing on them. If you start to get unsure about things, you can literally just run out of the dark. You can just run away and leave them there. And that's pretty cool to me. And that's kind of how the whole game feels. Like just lots of fun exploration and a really compelling world that's exciting and
health goes back up.
satisfying. What's that?
His health goes back up when you leave, right?
Yes, it does. So if you leave him in the dust, here's the thing. When I leave, I usually run straight out of this room and go back to the quote unquote Firelink Shrine-esque area, and I heal. So that heals him. I don't know if I was to like leave him and then go back, if it would still be there. I haven't tried that yet. Maybe I should try that.
Nice pair.
Maybe I should try that.
Maybe you should get good because
I forgot to mention this. This is another thing that I really like. You get this item that's kind of, you see it glowing on his belt, right? And as you attack enemies, it builds up these 4 meters, and each meter represents a parry you can do. So if you are low on health, if you tap the left shoulder button at the exact moment and you'll do like a block, and it'll parry that attack and absorb health from them. Like it'll drain some of their health and give it to you. So it's a really nice way to get back some health if you're confident enough in your combat abilities and you don't have any health items, or you don't want to waste any of your health items. Like that's a cool way to do it. There's just so many cool pieces of this game that I'm already in love with. I can't wait to play more of this. Also, last thing, so far all the weapons I've picked up are all these like the kinds of weapons for the most part that I never really played with in Dark Souls. They're all these like super heavy, slow moving, like this is like a giant mace, like a giant axe. So I'm kind of being forced to play this game differently than I did in pretty much any Dark Souls game, because when given the choice, I never really gravitated towards these kinds of weapons.
Sometimes that's nice. Like in Neo, I basically played with the dual swords the entire time, and I never changed weapons really.
Yeah, see, I did kind of the same thing. So I'm gonna try and when I finally do play Neo 2, I'm gonna try and branch out a little bit. But
Yodachi.
Yeah, I spent all my ninja points in the dual swords, right?
Yeah,
so
fair enough. I mean, it's a very build-based game, so
right.
But yeah. Anyways, that's all I got to say about Mortal Shell. This game is dope. I highly recommend it.
Now I want to play it.
I was not expecting this to be as, thrilling of a Dark Souls clone as it is.
Yeah.
It's a total love letter to Dark Souls. like you go into like the tower that's kind of near the Firelink Shrine type area, and there's like this weird creature that's like encased in this metal mask, and he's like, if you go into this world and you find this item and bring it back to me, I forgot what he says, I'll do something for you. And it's just like I'm totally into, like, now I got to find this thing, but he doesn't give you really any hint as to where to find it. So now I'm just kind of like obsessively looking for that item. Like, that kind of shit is so cool.
Careful, he might give you a small bone.
Anyways, do we have any small mentions, quick mentions? I know, Chris Davis, you finished 13 Sentinels.
Yes, I did.
How?
It's a fucking great game.
How long did that take you?
36 hours.
Wow.
Damn.
I hear, like, people who finish it say it's a great video game, you know.
It is a great story. The way they tell it is very interesting. You are never going to have an idea of where the story's going to go until, like, maybe the last couple hours.
Okay, but, like, do you eventually start to, like, remember everybody's multiple names and stuff?
Yeah.
Because that's such a struggle, man.
I mean,
I just wish every character would use someone's first name or last name and stop mixing it up. And no nicknames. God damn it. Not-chan. Whatever.
you mean Natsuno?
It's good. So, is the gameplay, like, did it evolve in such a way to where, like, that became a lot stronger?
It does get stronger. It really doesn't start to challenge you until the last several battles. Those last battles are just, they can get kind of fucking insane. But insane in a very good way. It's very challenging and entertaining.
But the star of the show is just these story sequences, right?
Yeah, really the star of the show is the story and seeing where these characters come from and where they're going.
See, that's kind of the thing that I'm most interested in, but I keep remembering the combat, and the combat doesn't look particularly great to me, or just not my cup of tea.
Of the game would you say is combat, Chris Davis?
I would say the combat's probably,
In terms of actual time played in the game.
35%, really. Because these combat scenarios, there are a bunch of combat scenarios, but you're finishing them inside of 10 minutes per. Like you're finishing them pretty quickly, and then you move on, and then you choose to go do another scenario, or you choose to go back to a character, or depending on how the story and everything is gated, you may unlock a new character, you may unlock a different perspective to an event you've seen, things like that. So
are there like secret characters you can miss?
Not that kind of game.
You do play as all of the main protagonists.
Every perspective matters, and like every decision. I mean, it's all important to the main plot. Every visual.
Right.
Yeah, but the cool thing is that they don't really teach you this, but in the when you go into a character's story sequence, if you feel like you're going in the wrong direction, or if you don't have like the actual information necessary to progress to where you want to go, you can open up the story chart, and you can go back to a previous checkpoint in that storyline, and then using information you have there, you can progress. So, like if one branch, for example, I learn about a character's name that's corresponding to an event, I can reload that, and then I can go explore that. That's
an unusual approach of telling a story, but
I think you probably just have to do that. There was this one part where I had to, like, this cat kept running away, and I had to try to keep it from not running away, and I couldn't figure it out. And I progressed the story in a different direction, but whatever. I think I have to go back and figure that out anyways.
Yeah. It's kind of cool how the game will keep taking the same character back to the same starting scenario. It'll be the end of the day in the classroom, and all the characters are doing the same same events that they were doing previously in a loop, really. But based on the information that you get from finishing one branch, how it changes up and goes in a different direction can be really entertaining. Like one moment you're just talking with your classmate and you're about to go to the vending machines and buy something, and the next minute you find yourself in fucking 2025 in a ruined future, just after the apocalypse. Like
that sounds interesting.
It
Pretty
goes
wild.
places. It really does.
Pretty wild. Very nice to look at too.
Prince of the Universe mentioned this in chat, but the whole time you're describing this, Chris, it reminds me of the 999 series.
Yeah,
And-
all visual novels are like that. It's so weird how similar
The
all
format
visual
is.
novels are. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they always have time travel. They always have these branching storylines where
Right.
you have to go back and play the different scenarios, and until you get all of the angles and all of the pieces, only then will the story come together. And yeah,
But what's kind of cool is that the way they split up the game modes, the destruction mode, which is the combat, and then the remembrance mode, which is the story perspectives. Like, the story perspectives are the beginning of the story. The combat mode is the very end of the story. It's literally the final battle. So it's
every
that balance
combat
of-
scenario you end is actually kind of what's happening at the end of the story.
Yes, the combat is the present day of what's happening in the world, and remembrance is literally the remembrance, finding out everything that led up to that point. So there will be hints in the
Okay.
combat and conversations about what's going on, and then it gets filled in when you play the story mode.
I really wish I felt like I was gonna have time to play this, but this year, because it sounds like I would really enjoy it. But man, God, we are closing in on November, and November is
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
I understand your hesitation, but dude, it's a really fucking good game.
I know.
Oh,
Here's
that
the question:
story.
if I had to pick one, 13 Sentinels or Neo 2, y'all fight it out.
13 Sentinels.
13 Sentinels is a more unique experience, probably.
You
Yeah.
have played Neo. This is a new experience. Play.
The
13
problem is I
Sentinels.
own Neo 2 already.
Good
I would
move
have to
for
jump
you.
in.
Buy
Wait, what?
13 Sentinels and play it.
Yes,
mean,
sir.
I mean,
I can lose myself in a visual novel.
Yeah.
Like I churned through all 3 of those 999 games.
well, you don't have to read and well, someone in chat says, "Do you want to read?" But you don't. It's all fully voice acted.
Yeah.
What's
and
wrong
the,
with
and the voice
reading?
acting is pretty good.
Fucking Brad here the other day tweeting, "Can somebody give me a horror game to play that doesn't involve reading notes?"
Well, it's because every single one of them is about reading notes. Come on, man, do something.
What's wrong with reading, bro?
I don't
Yeah,
want to read notes in a video game. That's
I'm with Slade. I'm not sure I want to play a visual novel on my PS4.
Yeah, that's the other thing, man. If 13 Sentinels was on my Switch, I'd be way more into it. But
Right.
I hate my PS4 so much. I hate it so much.
Well, the suffering is almost over, and you know what? So we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we are gonna talk about the new PS5 user experience, which was shown off for the first time today. I know there are some opinions floating around about that. So we'll talk about that. We'll answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch, and of course, we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. We want to talk about today was Sony's. We've all been kind of wondering this for a while, right? When was Sony finally going to show? Well, I guess when either of them were going to show their new user experience for their new consoles. And unless I'm mistaken, Sony's
Xbox
the first.
already showed theirs ages
Yeah,
ago.
Xbox showed it a while back, but it wasn't anything fancy to my
Yeah,
knowledge.
it's just like a slight improvement on the Xbox One UI, right?
Yeah,
Wow,
Not much of a difference there.
but more responsive.
Of course.
that's good. I'm sorry, I'm just stuck now thinking about the Xbox One user experience and how much I hate that.
It was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Sony revealed the PlayStation 5 UX today with a 11-minute tour of the UI. Video
They
tour.
definitely didn't show everything. They honestly they showed a very small subset of what was capable. I would say I wouldn't say that a lot of time was spent on the UI or UX of the PlayStation 5 as much as it was how you interact with PlayStation 5 games.
Right.
And also a little bit of the PS5 UI.
And like the in-game kind of UI, right? And less about the actual like out game UI.
Yeah, and the a lot of the video, like I felt like it didn't really do a really good job of like showing. Like they talked about features, but they didn't do a very good job of like making it clear how those features are actually triggered from the controller, from the user perspective. Yeah, it was just kind of like you can do this, and it's like okay, but how do I?
So exactly. Less them showing off the UI and more them just showing off new features that we.
He did mention that anytime in game, right? So like right now, on the PlayStation 4, if you're in a game and you press the PlayStation button, it generally would take you out to the cross media bar or whatever they call it on the PlayStation 4. But now on the PS5, it'll bring up a menu that is unique for every game, and then below that there will be the generic PlayStation 5 menu as well. And I like that conceptually. The whole kind of in different ways to interact with the game, and I'm kind of interested in how developers are going to use that, because I thought they kind of used a weird example using Sackboy, because a lot of those cards that they called them
activities.
Yeah.
Well, I guess cards and activities are kind of two separate things.
So so that's kind of the confusing part. They're called cards, and it said like you can use these cards to select activities in Sackboy. And so it seemed like a lot of those were kind of like, hey, select this and it will take you to this level in Sackboy. And that was kind of weird. It made kind of maybe a little more sense in what's the other game?
All-Stars, right? Or like the Destruction All-Stars or whatever.
All-Stars. And it's like, oh, when you bring this up, you can select these to go into different game modes or something like that. So I guess that kind of makes sense. And I do like that they kind of had that for maybe showing. It depends on developers use it, but I could see some very interesting things being done with that, like showing kind of unique things about something that is around you in the world in the game you're playing, or something to that effect. They kind of tried to show it off of like, oh, to collect this thing in the world, here's a hint of how to do it, kind of type deal. I don't know about that yet. Yeah,
that's the thing. I see some first-party games like implementing this stuff in like maybe some unique ways, or depending on the type of game. I mean, obviously, a level-based game like the Sackboy is a little different than like some big open world like Assassin's Creed game or some shit, right? So maybe skipping.
You're probably not gonna like automatically have fast travel points on the UI, right?
It feels like they've designed like a quest system, like quest logs and level select built into the UI.
Right.
So that's, once again, I think I don't know if that's actually what it is. I think that might have been I don't want to say unique to Sackboy, because when they showed the other one, the Destruction All-Stars, it wasn't exactly like that. And so that's what I was saying. I think it might be kind of unique to each game, in that, hey, developers, here are these cards that you can kind of do whatever with. Go for it. Now, some of them did seem like it was like information on like achievements or something like that, kind of how like Steam not too long ago introduced like like trophy stuff. But like,
I think honestly,
information about how like, oh, you did 15 kills, you're 10 kills away from getting this trophy, kind of type deal. And Steam kind of introduced something like that several years ago.
I think that is
Xbox is the one that did it first, where it would like pop up like a partial counter or whatever, and then they added that to the PS4 UI as an update like just recently.
I think that is honestly what's going to dominate the cards on like third-party games for the most part. Probably because you also got to think about all the extra development time like it's going to take to really get creative with these things.
I don't believe that third-party developers are going to invest too much into this new system.
Like CD Projekt Red, who's crunching like crazy to fucking finish Cyberpunk 2077, isn't going to spend any time doing these cards. You know what I mean? Like that's not.
I think what Nick is saying is that the trophies might do it automatically, and then they have like an extra API that they would implement to do other like specialized cards, but the trophies would do it automatically.
Okay, but
also, I think a lot of those are going to come post-launch.
What about Game Help, which is like video tutorials
That's
Or,
that. So
like,
honestly, Brad, one of the unique things about that, I don't necessarily. Yes, that's interesting. I think what's more interesting is how dynamic the UI is. It's not just, oh, here's a pop-up that shows you a video. It's a pop-up that you can now put picture in picture, or you can lock it on the screen, or you can move it around. It seems like there's a lot of the way that this UI interacts just kind of on top of the games, I think is kind of interesting. And you could do some interesting stuff with that.
It reminds me of like a Steam overlay, and I
Yeah.
always turn it off because it affects performance, and that has me a little.
I mean, I'm a little concerned. I don't know if concerned is the right word, because I I don't want there to be confusion as to what the best way is to use to take advantage of this feature, because I don't want what Brad said, where I don't want there to be all of a sudden a conflict between, it's like, okay, I have these in-game trackers and counters and quest logs and stuff, and then I have these exterior game ones that are, you know what I mean? I don't want to have to worry about that. So there needs to be separate.
I think hold on. I think people being Nick and Brad are maybe taking this a little too much. In my opinion, I think you could probably start a game and play through the entire game and see credits without interacting with any of that whatsoever.
Well,
I think that is extra stuff that will be there if you want to use it. I don't think that is something that's going to be like a requirement for the game. I think it is a unique way that the power of the PlayStation 5 and the UI will let you just bring that up on top of a game and interact with something. I don't think you have to do anything with it.
It may not be possible to completely ignore that UI depending on how it's implemented. If you think back to the PS3, anytime you went to like a save station, it would pull up the default PS3 UI to do a save in. And like there are some games where you had like a more immersive save system, like Dead Space. I think I remember being one of them that if you played on the 360, it didn't pull you out to some like awkward black screen to like do a save. You would just do it in the game. Or think about if you were playing like Alien Isolation, something that has a really immersive save system, but on the PlayStation it would pull you out. Of course, I don't think that game was on PS3, but that was an example of a time where they forced the UI's implementation into any game through basic game mechanics. What if? Again, this is a little more complex and dynamic, but
so a couple of things about that, Brad. That's what I wanted to say. Is even if they did, the fact that you don't have to, it's one of those things where the power is there to where it doesn't have to take you out of the game. It can bring something up in front of you. So yes, while in theory it still could be a Sony based saving system that is exclusive to the PlayStation 5, I think they could easily pull up a card similar to how you can pull up a card for hints or pull up a card for, picture in picture. I think they could easily do something like that doesn't take you out of the game.
But so think about Sackboy. They showed like 3 different cards that were like percentage progress in completely different levels. When you select one of those, are you loading like a save state, or are you actually just going to that? Is it like literally fast travel?
So once again, I think that's unique to the game. And if I now understand Sackboy the way I do, that seems like it's like a fucking old school Mario game where it is level based. So yes, in theory, it would just take you to that level. But I don't think every game is going to be. I don't think a linear story based game would necessarily be something like that.
Yeah, it seems kind of like just like a generic API that the developers can
do whatever they want with.
Kind of put you wherever they want and put you wherever it kind of makes sense based on the game, right? That's why I would be surprised if like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, not that since that's the example I can think of, an open world game that's coming out, doesn't do the fast travel kind of thing from the UI.
Here's my
I mean, you can still do it in game, but like do it as a launch point to the game rather than.
Well, think of something like you could have a card that pops up. So say you're playing Valhalla, and you bring up that UI, and there's maybe like nearby cities or something like that, or nearby cities where you've collected 10 flags in this city, and then you're like, I'm only one away from completing.
You have this many quests left in this area.
Right? It takes you to that. I think there's a lot of unique things you could do with that, depending on how, like I said,
I'm thinking like let's say if I'm playing Destruction All Stars or whatever, and I'm done, my friends are done, they're ready to sign off for the night. It's like, okay, then let me jump back over to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Do I like just load the game back up and or do I click the thing that says teleports me to where my next quest is or whatever? And that way it just saves me a couple extra loading screens and steps to get there, right? I think that's what the intention is.
That's one of the things I wanted to bring up, and I talked about it with Brad a little bit before the podcast in Discord, that I was excited, but I think it's going to be definitely useful. Is when you're on like the main cross media bar, not in the game, it definitely showed that when you select a game, you have those kind of cards below. And I think they kind of showed it a little bit with the Destruction All-Stars, but I could easily see something like, and the example I brought up was back in the day when I would play The Last of Us Factions. If I wanted to play Factions, I would have to choose Last of Us, wait for the game to load, get to the menu, choose Factions, wait for the Factions menu to load, and all this stuff. Whereas instead, I'm fairly certain going forward, there will be a card that's like single player or multiplayer, and you can just choose one and load immediately into that part of the game or that section. You know, it will allow you to save time.
Load my most recent save or something like stuff like that. Like I think that would be like
cool if you're like switching between games a lot, but honestly, you know, a nice menu in the actual game is like can be appealing to look at.
Well, not saying that's not going to be there.
So here's one other concern that I have about all these cards. It's more of like organization and the fact that like it seems like everything is on those cards. Like when you joined a party that had like its own card, there was like a game news for updates that had its own card. How am I going to have to be wading through a long line of cards to maybe find some info that I do care about when I don't care about like game help, you know? Because if you think about the PS4, it's kind of just a big long line of shit, and sometimes it's hard to find some stuff.
It does limit you. You can't have an infinite number of those things, and my assumption it's going to be similar here too, in that it's probably going to be, you know, let's say a random number 10, the 10 most recent things you've interacted with. And those will be the ones that are on there. And the rest will be at the end. You'll select that and it'll bring up all of the information. And I think it's going to be similar when you're in game. And that's what they kind of showed with like both in the Sackboy and Destruction All-Stars. The reason that chat thing was a card there, the voice chat group, was because he had just recently interacted with that. Right. And I like that because I actually had a problem with that even a couple of weeks ago when I was playing Crispy and I were playing Fall Guys, and I was trying to do like a party thing, and now I have to exit Fall Guys and go to the menu, and I have to go up and I have to find the fucking chat thing, which I don't always remember exactly where it is. And the problem is I'm constantly changing my theme on the PS4, and so the icons are constantly changing, so I don't ever remember exactly where it is. So I think I like that concept of, if I've just recently joined a chat, for me to be able to press a button and slide over once or twice to interact with that chat, I like that concept. I think that will be useful, that's something that will be there that you can immediately get into. Brad, if you're not joining voice chats, that card's never going to be there for you.
Sure, but like, what about like my game captures or whatever, you know, like I was trying to do that recently on the PS4, and again, big long line of like games and shit I played. I couldn't figure out where the fuck to find my game captures because I was trying to record.
But that will be easier here.
I mean, I hope so.
Because that's one of the things I like that he showed in Sackboy, or I guess, and in this case, it was the Destruction All-Stars, that since he had recently taken a screenshot, that showed up like right there. So when you pull that up, it's like, here's the recent screenshots you've taken of this game. I like that because, yes, like I said, similar to getting into like voice chats, multiple times in the past, I've saved a video or done something, and now I want to upload it, and I have to go and find where my whatever that UI is called, the media thing, and have to go and find that. And I like that. Most likely when I'm going to that, it's probably because I just saved a screenshot or a video and I want to interact with it, and having it right there in the game I'm playing, I think is convenient.
I hope ultimately you can, if there's some things you never really want to, like if you never want to do the game help stuff or like fast travel or progress or whatever the fuck all that stuff.
I mean, I feel like these things would be customizable.
If I could turn some of this stuff, if it's customizable, I'll be happy. Because
there's got to be its own like I'm guessing when you go into the settings on the system, there'll be a separate section for like card settings or something where you can like tell it what you do and don't want. I mean, I feel like,
or even like press option and say like keep it at the front or whatever, or delete it, hide this card. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
You can also like look at other people's gameplay in your party and like snap it to your screen. I mean, we talk a lot of shit about Xbox doing stuff like this in the a last generation.
So the problem is I don't think last gen consoles were capable of that.
Yeah, that might be true.
It's one of those things where like I don't think a lot of people's internets are capable of that currently. Where I think you're going to have a pretty decent internet speed to be able to play a game and also simultaneously stream someone else's game. I mean, I don't know what the bit rate and the resolution they're going to have those at. Probably not super high, especially if it's like a picture-in-picture mode.
By the way, kind of unrelated, but did y'all see the comparison of the Spider-Man load times going in and out of
No.
the? Oh my goodness! Like
It's
they showed
cat.
they showed like the leaving a building or whatever in Spider-Man on PS4 or whatever, and it's like
when Peter would go into a building, you know, to interact with whatever, then you'd leave. You had that loading screen to load back the city.
it was like 30 seconds, and then it showed Miles Morales, and he just like literally zips through an open window, and he's like into the open world.
Look,
That's pretty
again,
nice.
this might be some cynicism, but like if you're gonna show me that stuff, don't show it with like a last gen version of a game and like the one for this system, because I know it's gonna load faster. I understand that like this drive is much different than whatever's in a fucking PS4, and I know it's gonna load faster.
I mean, but a lot of people don't understand that.
What I'm saying is, people have always wanted faster load times, right? But the reason we've never really had faster load times is because a developer is always going to use the hardware to kind of like, they're going to get as much out of it as they can. Yeah, and they're going to push it to the limit. And that's why in next generation, you still have long load times, because you're loading more shit. And PS5 games are going to be the fucking same, where it's going to be more shit to load.
So once again, that's debatable, Brad. I think, I mean, find me a bare bones PS4 game, not like a, you know, not Super Meat Boy level of bare bones, but I mean a fairly, you know, kind of smaller game that has like super fast load times. Even like the smaller ones still have, you know, a decent amount of load times. And I know like the Switch is not as powerful as like a PlayStation 4, but something like Overcooked 2 is something I play on the Switch with Bernadette a lot. All of that is Flash. There's no moving parts. There's no discs. You know, it's all Flash memory. It still takes forever to load those tiny levels. I think it's one of those things where, yes, it can depend on the situation, but I think developers kind of use that, I don't want to say to their advantage, but it was one of those things where, hey, look, 90% of our users are loading this data off of a physical hard drive, not even an SSD. It's a hard drive. We know that the max speeds on a hard drive are about this. Let's go with that. I think moving forward with like a guaranteed NVMe SSD or whatever M2 SSD that it has in there, I think having those will probably lead developers. Yes, are there going to be some, probably maybe the initial boot times for the games are a little bit longer, but once you're in them, I think it will be pretty quick to load, which is frustrating because load screens are generally when I check Twitter and Discord, and now I can't do that.
Now you can't do that.
Or, you know, reading item descriptions for a Souls game. Or
That's true.
Sometimes that's the only way you can get a fucking story.
This son of a bitch. This get out of here.
I have a question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did they talk any bit about the game boost feature?
No.
No.
You didn't watch it?
This video
was very like Nick said, it was 11 minutes, but in all honesty, they showed like 4 features.
Okay.
They just spent a lot of time talking about a few features. Like in all honesty,
Activities.
Yeah, activities. In regards to the UI of the PlayStation 5, they probably showed like 15 to 20% of what it's actually.
Okay.
This is an important thing we haven't mentioned yet, and Gigamir mentions it. The shop the PlayStation Store is now integrated into the UI.
Is that good?
Like,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't really understand what that means.
I mean,
It
you
means
no
it
longer
doesn't have to like pop you into a separate app in order for you to purchase stuff.
You
It's
can
that
just
much
literally, like-
easier for them to sell you a fucking expansion pack, is what it is.
I
Well, like,
never
don't know
felt
what that
that
means.
going to the app was like a pain. It was just.
I mean,
you're just
for me,
bringing
it's always been kind of a pain. I mean, think of it this way, because like when you have to go to the PlayStation Store to buy something now, Like, I don't know about you, but when I boot up the PlayStation Store, it takes like 30 seconds for that fucking thing to fully load in. It's really annoying.
It's faster for me to pull up
maybe.
my laptop and open up the web interface than it is for me to go to the store on the PS4.
Yeah, it's not very snappy.
Sure, it was a
This
bad
is-
store,
this
but
is-
what is it being implemented into the base UI? Is it why is
it
that
means you
all-
can literally tap like the equivalent of what we do now, where we tap the little PlayStation button on the controller and it takes you back to the dashboard. And on the PS5, it brings up that overlay where it has the cards. Now you can tap that and it will pull up. You can have the store right there.
I mean, it is what Chris said, that like it's like you get the ability to buy DLC and expansions like
without ever leaving a game.
way quicker and without leaving the game and stuff like that. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
It
Right.
gets me back into the game faster, and then
Again,
the,
maybe they should need to show it off because I don't know what we're looking at with
Like,
that.
yeah,
No, I mean, there's a lot of things they didn't show off here today. This
the game
was a,
talks about the ads that will be in the UI. There's already a lot of ads in the PlayStation UI, right?
Yeah.
And if like it is an ad that like I want to buy that game, like just for me to be quicker to get to that game and buy it and start
I
downloading.
guess I kind of just like to have it
Positive.
off in a separate place so I didn't have to look at Sony advertising at me. You know, like if I wanted to buy a game, I go to the store and that was its own separate thing. I don't want to see it all over my interface. That reminds me of the Xbone.
it's just a tab on the overlay.
That's what the PS4 is now, man.
But you can on the PS4 you could turn all that. If anything shows up on your home screen, you hit options, you can make it go away.
Correct. So Gigamir's point in chat, he says it was just a tab. It was an instant, that the stuff was there. But that's not technically true in that sense. It was instant because it had already loaded all of that. But the thing is, they didn't show the store. They showed a couple of tabs on the bottom with a few games. My question is when you go into that, well, when I go to the PlayStation Store, I don't see 5 games. I see a couple of different UIs. What happens when I want to search for games and stuff like that? I think it's just a different view. Instead of having to go to the PlayStation Store and load a new UI on top that takes a few seconds, I think it's just going to be a bunch of tabs. But then how do you interact with those tabs? How do you search?
I mean, it sounds like they're loading.
Where's the sales section? So
To me, it sounds like they're loading the store. Like when you boot the system up, the store is loading as part of the dashboard, but it's all in the background. So when you're
the UI is
accessing-
going to use a lot of resources. That's what it sounds like.
Let's talk about that. Out of all of the times in the past 6 months of you playing your PS4, how many times have you booted up your system and then gone into the store? Probably not a lot.
Oh, sometimes.
well, I mean,
That's not the use
When
case,
I-
though.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. So like but that's what I'm saying. Like in the past year, I can count the number of times I've gone into the store on my hand, on like a single hand, maybe 2.
Yeah, sure.
Not that many. So
I mean, it's not for everybody.
loading
It's
all-
just
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But now I'm technically going to the store every time I load up my system because it has to load up that data. Don't get me wrong, it's faster, whatever. I'm just saying, am I going to be using that? Like, probably not. I'm just saying, from someone who that I work with like websites and APIs and UIs and stuff on it. Like, I generally try not to load shit when it's not being used. And so that's what I was saying. Like, my assumption is the store was instant because they maybe just instantly loaded a few things that are like,
Yeah,
the big
I'm
game.
guessing it's that, right? Is that like it's not an app,
Mhm.
and because of that, it's integrated into since it's integrated in the UI, the amount of stuff they have to load on a single page is way smaller. Like, it can be related to the game you're looking at rather than having to load the entire app's UI.
Sure. I don't know. I mean,
this video was this video left a lot of room for speculation, which is
Right,
kind of disappointing.
Well,
but it was nice to actually see the look of it. I guess
I'll say
which
this.
is-
I kind of love the simplicity. I love the cross media bar on the PS3 and the PSP, and I was I don't know if I was expecting simplicity, but when I turn on my PS4, I see something that's like relatively simple. But anytime you go to one of your games and you press down and all that bullshit shows up, I feel like that shit that's below the stuff on the PS4, they're putting like front and center on the new PlayStation.
I do. Like, I've been like kind of playing devil's advocate to a lot of the opinions here, but I do think the UI, when you're like that, all those tabs or bars or whatever they're called or whatever, it does make it look very cluttered.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It's kind of what we already talked about. It's going to depend on what those cards are.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to be useful, right?
if it's kind of what it was shown in the game, and when you go down, when you select that tab for, you know, Sackboy, and you press down and you have all those cards, if all of those cards are load the game, load this level, here's this, that's all relevant to the game, I'm fine with it. But yes, I agree with you, Brad, when it's all of a sudden showing me like people who are streaming this game or like blah 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 whatever, yeah, I don't really care about any of that. And it is a little confusing.
I think I feel like what will be most telling about this will be once this console has been out for like a week. I just want to see how often I find myself referencing it or using it, just in general. Because like if I find myself using it a lot, that means it's beneficial, it's helpful, and even if it may look a little cluttered, if I'm using it, I would consider it a good thing. But it's kind of hard to tell based on what we've seen so far.
I'm guessing for me it'll be like how my PS4's been, where I've ignored like 80% of the shit that's on there this entire generation as I stopped playing games with people.
In that regard, I think the speed of this will make that less of a deal, because that was everything's slow. When you go when you're on a game and you bring down, it pulls up all that crap. It's not instant. It takes like a second or two, and then you're kind of confused as about what's there. But I think if everything is a lot quicker and snappier, it's not going to matter if there's a few extra things, because you can just like swipe it away to an extent.
It's definitely going to be some growing pains. We're definitely going to have to like get used to it.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's going to be like probably 6 months to a year before developers are even like comfortable like with knowing what the best practices are, what annoys people, what doesn't annoy. Like right out of the gate, this thing is probably not going to be the best as far as, you know what I mean?
What I will say in that regard is, and I know, Brad, you mentioned liking the cross media bar from the PS3. I don't know when the last time you used that was, maybe recently. I know you've been playing some old games, but I used it recently when I played the like Mega Man Legends, Harvest Moon and stuff. First off, it's sluggish. Slow as fuck.
It's sluggish, but the way things are organized is what I really like, and the way how you get to the different things is.
I mean, I would say that.
Also, by the end of that generation, they really fucked it up. I mean, it became slower the later it got in that generation.
Is true. They added more stuff on there.
Same thing with the 360.
I think they organized stuff on the PS3 in an okay way, but I think also a lot of that I didn't use most of it. And I think, you know, maybe they'll have a bunch of that on the PS5 as well. But as long as it's similar to the PS4 and you can kind of, you know, similar to like an iPhone or an Android, where you have a bunch of crap that you want installed but you never really want to use, and just throw it all in a folder and ignore it, because that's what you can do on the PS4 now. And if they have that, fine.
Hopefully there are folders at launch.
Yeah. But like when I turn on my Samsung phone, my Galaxy, and the little screen farthest to the left is on this one, the Samsung Daily, and I immediately turn that shit off. Yeah, that's what reminded me. Like the first card that they pulled up is game news and updates. I never want to see that. Don't ever show me that. If I can turn that off, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who enjoy that kind of thing. Maybe because they're just more social.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
The social aspects, like parties and stuff, sure. And just I don't know how to use that stuff to save my life on the PS4. But like
Brad, Henry will teach you, don't worry.
Yeah. No one's going to be reading game news, but whatever. What's
all
next?
Right. Let's move on. We're going to have our hands on this console in, you know,
less than a
weeks. Less than a month. Oh my god, that's kind of exciting. Sorry. Some of us are. And we'll talk about that, of course, when we do. But now let's we got some questions, of course, from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Nolan can take it away whenever he's ready.
Yeah, all right. First question this week from Christian from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Oh, I know that place.
Virginia.
Yeah. What is your
lived there for 18 years of my life?
Wait, you lived? You lived there?
Oh,
there we go. Are you Christian?
I am not Christian.
He's Catholic, actually.
I don't know what that's
I walked right into that one.
All right. What is your favorite OP or joke weapon in a game? Mine is the foam finger from Dead Space 2. Pew pew pew.
Yeah, I
It's a
looked that
really
up.
good
There's-
one.
That is a really good one. I never unlocked that, but I looked it up and watched the video and was like, that looks like fun.
You know what I was a fan of? The taunts in TF2 that could kill people. If someone was so there were certain taunts you could do that if a person was like standing, like I can't remember all of them, but there was one of them someone did like finger guns, and if someone was standing in the right place when you did it, you would kill them. And I always liked that, and I thought it was fun.
That sounds
each
hilarious.
character had her own taunt that could kill another player, or whatever.
This wasn't the thing about that foam finger gun in Dead Space was the main fire was pew pew pew, but if you did the alt fire, it was pow pow pow.
Wow.
Oh,
This wasn't I wouldn't say a joke weapon, but in the original Xbox game Mercenaries, I used to have a lot of fun like flying around on a helicopter and nuking cities with
wait,
like
in which game?
it's called Mercenaries.
Playground of Destruction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first one.
Okay.
But yeah, like there was cheat codes in the game that you could unlock like crazy weapons that you could just like drop a bomb on a city and completely level it or whatever. And it's always fun to do stuff like that.
That
This
game
is
had
the-
a great demo. Holy
game.
shit! I remember that demo.
This isn't really. I don't know if this is a joke weapon because it's a game. It's a weapon you actually use in the game. But I feel like a lot of the weapons in this series are kind of jokey weapons. But Ratchet and Clank, I don't remember which one it was, but like the sheep gun
The Sheepinator.
turns.
Mhm.
It turns people into sheep. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that series
Yeah,
has
pretty
some
cool.
good ones.
Saints Row is
Damn it, I
infamous
was about to say that. I was going to say the Penetrator from
Oh!
Saints Row 4.
I got one. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the if it was in Morrowind, but I remember it from Oblivion. I think it was in Skyrim, but I don't know what it did in Skyrim. But the Wabbajack was a weapon you could get in Oblivion that when you hit a creature, it would turn it into something else.
Yeah.
The
They had
Wabbajack.
that
random?
in Skyrim too, but I think
It was
Oblivion
random.
was the first one with it. But yeah, it would change them like, oh, it changes them into a rabbit. Like, oh,
Yeah.
haha, now they're easier to kill. But you could use it and it would like I
could
can't
turn it
remember
into
if it would
something.
yeah, like a fucking really powerful demon. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, oops, like didn't want that to happen.
Hit it again. Hit it again.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not really
pretty
a
good.
joke weapon, but in Devil May Cry 4, remember was it called Pandora? What was the weapon? He had like a briefcase, and it could turn into like the lore says it could turn into like 666 different things, and you what was that weapon called?
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember much
And,
about how it worked.
and it had a bunch of different like transformations it could do.
Zero Skies says yes. Pandora is what it's called.
Yeah, that was a really cool like weapon idea. And like one of the things it could turn into was like an actual thing he could like fly around in. That was it's just a really cool idea.
You guys ever use the bug catching net in Link to the Past against
Mhm.
Aghanim or whatever?
It did work.
What was the clip where Nick was?
Yeah.
It's famous.
There was that shark gun that was in Saints Row.
What oh yeah.
Wait, which one?
Like
Shark gun.
you could shoot a shark and it pounces out
Yeah.
from the ground and eats somebody.
Oh yeah.
Saints Row had a lot. They had the dubstep gun.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They had a lot of fun guns and stuff like that.
Dubstep gun's pretty
What
good.
was not Red Dead. Red Faction Armageddon. Didn't they
Mr.
have like
Toots?
a rainbow coupe gun or whatever?
Mr. Toots.
Oh,
No,
the
it was-
unicorn.
It was a
Yeah.
unicorn.
The unicorn would shoot rainbows out of its butt.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was
I mean,
pretty good.
speaking of Red Faction, just
Red
the
Faction
fucking-
Gorilla.
Gorilla had
Mr.
but
Toots is what the Red Faction-
I loved the. I think it was Armageddon that had the magnet.
It was our.
I fucking loved using that shit when you would shoot one magnet on one thing and one on the other and activate them, and it would just pull whatever they were
That's cool.
attached to together. So you could
Armageddon.
buildings.
Armageddon is not the best Red Faction game, but it had some awesome weapons.
It introduced some cool stuff. Yeah.
Monster Hunter always has some cool joke weapons.
Like, for instance.
Well, they're like, like say it's it's still like the hammer, but you can like do a quest to get like a big piece of meat on a bone or whatever, stuff like that. Like Monster Hunter World had or was it Iceborne for the great sword, which is like a giant fucking sword. They had one that was just a big giant like it was like a frozen swordfish. You literally held the nose of the swordfish, and that was your great sword. It's pretty cool. Stuff like
Seems
that.
like it'd be more efficient to hold it by the tail.
This is classic, and it's not like super fancy or anything, but the golden gun and GoldenEye on N64 was always cool. Like it in like multiplayer matches when you got that thing. Yeah, it was good. Everybody was scared of you.
All right, let's move on. Ash from the Burdekin asks, could you date someone who had the same name as your mom?
Can it be spelled different?
Does it matter?
I mean,
I think yes, because I never actually say my wife's name.
Your wife's name?
Well, he's
Like,
saying that.
Oh wait. Oh.
No,
I
like-
see what you're saying.
Like
In that regard, I never say my mom's name.
that's true.
Mom.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, but if somebody ever said hi, and that was their name, you
Yeah.
instantly I would instantly go, that's my mom's name. Like it's not, even though I don't say it out loud, it's not like I don't think it. It's not like I don't know. It's like I acknowledge what my mother's name is. And here's the thing: if there was like, you know, in a different life, I ran into someone and I like, oh man, this girl's like, I'm totally into this girl, and then she introduced herself and her name was, if it, you know, I feel like I wouldn't be inclined to like, I don't think that would be a deal breaker. I feel like that would be that'd be a really dumb deal breaker.
Nick's drunk at a bar, brings a girl home, and then he's like, "Oh, I never got your name. What is it?" It's Nick's
Martha.
mom's name.
It's
Get
like, well,
out.
get out of here. Yeah, I don't.
Pretty.
I
much
think it's
no.
fine.
Wait,
Alright.
Ed's pretty much a no. Is that what you said?
I don't
Yeah.
like it. That's for
My,
sure.
my mom has like a older
I
name
would-
anyway.
I would
Weird.
be trying to convince her to change her name. If you
What's your middle name? And then it's your dad's name. You're like, no.
no.
All right, moving
Be like,
on.
well, this is a sign. This is just not going to work. I'll let myself out.
Of my house.
But you live here. So yeah, that's fine. Zero
It's
Sky
yours now.
asks, what is your ideal Halloween season game? You can describe what mechanics, tone you like, or name games that get you in the spirit of the season.
Well, I mean, I just in general like to play horror games around this time, but you know,
Horror game this time. Or
Got
rather,
something
I
specific?
will only play a horror game in the month
around
of
this
October.
time. Really? Okay. I mean,
I
I feel like I
was scared of them, and then I played Amnesia, and now I'm not scared of anything.
I'm still scared of them, but I still play them because they're fun, and it's like horror movies. Like I still get creeped out watching horror movies, but there's something like, it's like you can't take your eyes off them. They're so just they're fascinating.
I'm always trying to find like a good Halloweeny game that's not just, you know, a straight up horror game. Because I like I like the seasonal elements of like Halloween. So if a game or whatever has like a Halloween world or whatever, or a good Halloween level, I'm always wanting to like, you know, play that. Ooh, Medieval is a good kind of like Halloweeny game.
Yeah.
But I feel like since the release of Puppeteer, I always play the Halloween world in Puppeteer like every year.
Wow.
Which is I guess a new fave.
I was gonna say that. I mean, it's not really like something I would necessarily say I want to play around Halloween. But they kind of talked about like the mood or in the spirit. I always loved fall was my favorite season in Stardew Valley. I loved fall. Like I thought they really captured like kind of like, it's not like
The changing color of the
like
leaves.
the season. I think the way everything looks. I really
Yeah.
it felt.
Well, I mean, fall's the
warm.
best season, right?
Yes.
I mean, fall's always been the best
I
season.
prefer to call it autumn.
Yeah.
But
It just
yeah,
sucks in Texas.
When you're talking about Stardew Valley.
I just wish I lived somewhere else because fall would be so much better.
yeah, it's not for people who don't live in Texas. For the most part, our fall is just it's a little bit cooler, and that's it.
Yeah, like the best days in
Marginal.
fall are like high 70s, like you mid to high
but-
70s.
But I'm saying
And
like
those are very
there's not-
rare.
there's not too many trees
This
around
weekend,
here that change color. I mean, like because we have a lot of like pine trees and like I guess
Cedar.
coniferous. Is that the type of tree we have? Right, it's not deciduous, right? Or
Yeah.
I always forget. Which whatever, like we don't get like like the pretty yellows and the reds and like stuff like that. We don't really have a whole lot of that. There's a few places maybe, but for the most part, we don't get that. And so it maybe just gets a little bit cooler, and then pine needles fall off of trees, and that's kind of it.
To get back to the original question, though,
Mhm.
games, I tend to gravitate towards the spooky shit. Spooky shit. If I had to pick, like, I mean, I feel like this is an obvious choice, but like I have so many memories of playing Fatal Frame that I feel like that's kind of a defining game for me. Although it's still one of those games that makes me too uncomfortable to like play by myself.
I think the first time I ever saw Fatal Frame was, I think David had invited Nick over on Halloween or around Halloween to play Fatal Frame, and I was there, and I was like, Fatal Frame, and this was like before I think we even started podcasting, or I mean, it was a long fucking time ago.
I don't think I ever met you before we started podcasting, Brad.
Well, it was that might not actually be true, because
might
you
not
knew
be.
you that might not actually be true, because this was when David was still living on West Campus.
I mean, the first podcast I ever recorded with David was when he lived on West Campus.
Well, whatever. But you came over. There was a bunch of people there, and you were playing Fatal Frame, and I was like, "Oh, this is scary." I think I played the demo or whatever, but I was definitely like, I don't think I could never do this, but eventually, of course, I did.
Spoiler alert.
And the rest was history.
You know, I feel like we live at a time now where there's just so many like great horror games. It's kind of hard to just to pick one that kind of like embodies the season. I mean, a lot of the horror games that I enjoy, nothing about them really screams like fall or autumn, Nolan. But you know,
I would say
a lot of really cool.
Resident Evil 4 kind of has an autumn feel to it.
At least in the beginning.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
How has there never been a Hitman level that takes place in a neighborhood on Halloween?
That would be perfect.
Everyone's
I don't
wearing
know.
costumes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. It seems
God,
like a
that would
real
be
missed opportunity.
It would be the best. They even had like the perfect neighborhood level in the last Hitman game, which was sort of a callback to
they
like
actually did something.
bullshit. There was some half-ass shit. I remember that. It was like, he can have a pumpkin head. You know, it's their event stuff was always half-assed. And I'm saying you do a level from the ground up that's designed to be a Halloween level, and it would be amazing.
I mean, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh,
All
man,
right.
I would play that every year.
Night in the Woods is a good one. That's definitely an autumn.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I think it does it for questions this week. Again, guys, if you're interested in asking us questions, it's all you got to do is support us on Patreon at any tier, $1 tier or higher, or you can subscribe to us on Twitch. Either way, you should be able to access the supporters channel in Discord. There's a pinned message in there with a link to the forum where you can ask questions. You can do it anytime. We are jumping around a bit, and we're still catching up on some of the old questions, but you're always welcome to leave new ones, and we'll get to it eventually, I promise. So first of all, big shout out to all of our Patreon and Twitch subscribers. We really appreciate your support, and we'd love to hear from you on future episodes. But now it's time to wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to let Ed go first.
Damn it.
Haha!
I'm not ready.
I'll go first.
Then Brad goes first, as always.
All right, tell me when to go, Chris Davis.
1 sec. Sorry, the timer's not loading up. But let me do it this way.
Brad, you could be using extra time right now.
I could use the extra time to read
my
some
hype
feedback.
is that
okay.
We got confirmation that the PS5 is quiet, and that is probably the most important thing about this new system to be quite honest. My sweat for the week though goes for one of the big things that the PS5 isn't going to do right outside the box is be able to play the PS4's PSVR. You have to have a dongle that you have to buy through Sony specifically, and I'm worried it might be hard to get a hold of that dongle. My thank you for this week is also my fuck you for this week, and it goes to Carlos. I finally played some of his highly recommended horror games.
Lost in Vivo.
Yeah, my fuck you goes to Lost in Vivo, which seemed all right until I got to a part where I was in a very narrow hallway and there was things that go through the wall and I kept dying and I couldn't even see what was killing me. And fuck you, Carlos. But my thank you goes for letting me. Well, I had to pick a lock. It's bullshit. I had to pick
You can pick the lock.
and
You can pick the lock while not facing the door, which I thought was strange. Sorry.
whatever. It was bullshit, and whatever. Game's janky. I might just keep playing it, but my thank you is just letting me use his games in general. He purchased Dread X Collection 2, which I played towards the end of the night and was really fucking cool, and I can't wait to play more. So thanks for letting me try it before he even had a chance to play it, and I'll probably play more of that next time I stream. So I'm excited.
Sweet. Ed, would you say you're ready now?
Sure.
That sounds like a no still, maybe.
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
All right. Are we good, Chris? Yeah? Yeah?
And go.
All right. My hype is for Cyberpunk 2077, mostly because I did not get a PS5 pre-order, so I can't play Demon Souls or Spider-Man's Miles Morales or Godfall or whatever else would be there. My thank you and my sweat are kind of tied together. Blizzard delayed the launch of Shadowlands out of this month. And my sweat is like, maybe. It might, the crack, I might return to the crack den.
Really?
Might. Heavy might. I installed it the other day. It's sitting there. I haven't renewed my subscription. So it's okay. It's okay. But it's like the crack is waiting for me. I just had to pay $15 to do it, to access it. And my thank you goes to, we have a lot of old people in this country that work elections, particularly, and are, because most people that are not old have to work jobs instead. So just be thankful for all those people that are working like early elections and on election day and are literally going to interact with hundreds of
thousands
of people, like collectively over that time. And so like
sure.
they're literally putting their lives at risk for your chance to get out there and vote. So
I got to use a finger condom.
I know, I got to use one back in the primary.
The nice lady was like, "Here, you can use this finger pin," as I like to call it. And I was like, "You can call it whatever you want, lady. We both know what this is. This is a finger condom."
Yeah, so I have not voted yet. I plan on voting it closer to the end of the month before election day. But since we do early voting,
this is a little.
Hell yes.
This is on topic, but obviously you're over time. But
this doesn't count.
Maybe this is not even like a good time to bring this up. But like, I feel like I'm going on social media and everyone is talking about how long their wait is.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been waiting a long time, just don't tell people that. Say like, "Hey man, I voted. I'm like, you should vote. It was great.
It was in and out in 5 minutes."
But all I'm seeing are like 2-hour lines, 3-hour lines, 4-hour lines.
I think a lot of people
it was still worth it.
Yeah, they're doing it to be
Don't
like,
scare
I don't
people
care
though,
that
man.
there was a long line. I'm willing to wait. And
Don't
you
scare it at all. You get there, you wait in line. You have no idea how long it's going to be. What's important is that you're there. I think they're scaring people off. Don't do that.
I feel you, Brad. Like you want everyone to go, and if you can get someone there, hopefully, even if there is a little bit of a line, they'll still wait. So, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. Obviously, I think it's good to share that with people that you voted, but I feel like that narrative is building, and it's
also the third day, right? Of early voting.
In Texas, yeah, it depends on where you're at. Some people have already started.
I'm hoping that like next week, if I go like right in the middle of the afternoon or whatever, that it won't be that bad. I literally have no excuse. I don't have a job, so
if you live somewhere where you can vote by mail, vote by mail.
Which is a lot of places in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're
If you
one
ha-
of the unlucky states that COVID isn't an excuse.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Just vote.
Yes, that's the important thing. Just vote however the fuck you can.
And 46 states have the ability to track your mail-in ballot, so do that too.
I wish we were one of them. Well, I guess we technically are. If you can vote by mail, it's weird. You have to be like 65 or older to vote by mail here.
There's a couple of other excuses.
Yeah,
but
there's other excuses.
COVID is not one.
But that being said, the Texas government, the judge who issued the order regarding mail-in ballots said that the state cannot investigate your claim for requesting a mail-in ballot. So you could claim you have COVID and you don't, and it'd still give you one.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Seems like a recipe for possible voter fraud, Chris.
Yeah, what the fuck, Chris?
Try to avoid that right now.
Texas is a state that has mail-in ballot tracking. If you want to do that.
Yeah.
If you're one of our many listeners over the age of 65.
Yeah.
And lives in Texas.
But, like I said, there's 46 states in the union that can do it. So if you want to go with the voter vote by mail, then do that. Make sure you do that.
But like Ed said, just vote, guys. Please, just vote. Nolan, you ready? Your turn.
Tell me when, Chris.
Go.
All right, my hype is for Genshin Impact. And maybe be checking out that game this weekend, see how that goes. Pretty excited.
Oh boy!
But that kind of leads into my sweat, which is as part of my PC reinstalling my OS and kind of starting fresh. I was like, yeah, let me see how quickly I can download GTA 5, and it downloaded pretty quick. And I played some GTA Online because I haven't played that in like years, and I was having some fun playing that. Which kind of leads into my thank you, which goes to one Cup Chaser, who was a random person I interacted with on GTA Online, and they were the nicest guy. Had a lot of fun doing some missions with them because I was kind of rusty, and they were super nice, and I enjoyed my time playing with Cup Chaser. And then my hype goes.
We regret to inform you he's a white supremacist, Nolan.
God damn it. My hype goes to the PS5. The teardown we got to see and the UX information has really got me hyped for it.
I'm excited for something new. Nick's
Sorry,
sweat is his cat.
I had to let my cat in and out of the room like 50 times. Apparently, this is apparently only a problem when I'm recording the podcast because this is not this frequent when I'm not recording.
Because you're talking.
Yeah, it's because
She
you're talking.
can't
doesn't
hear me. She's
understand.
deaf.
Oh, okay.
She can feel the presence of you talking.
She
Yeah,
can't.
she
she's
probably
deaf.
Feel the
knows.
vibrations.
The vibrations in the air.
She's sensing something. All right, Chris Davis, your turn.
Okay, let me start my thing. All right, my 420 minutes starts now. My hype this week, in the tradition of the worst kept secret of 2020, the Mass Effect Legendary Collection has been rated in Korea, which is more credence to that it actually fucking exists. And November 7th is coming out, Mass Effect Day. So that's probably when they're going to announce it.
You think they're really they're holding out for that stupid Mass Effect Day to make
Yes,
this
that's when they do these things.
so dumb.
Question is, will it be a stealth drop?
I actually have a shameful secret. So Steam.
The question is on November 7th, is Mass Effect going to be our biggest concern?
No, sorry. Continue, Chris Davis.
It's already derailed. I actually have a shameful secret this week. Steam had another one of those events where they released a bunch of developer demos for people to try out, and I found one I really wanted to try. It was a little game called Webbed. The idea is that you play as a cute little spider, and you're swinging around the world trying to go rescue your boyfriend spider from a big old bird. And it's delightfully cute to look at, and it's got these like web slinging mechanics that kind of, I don't know if it.
I'm looking this up.
You got to look at it to describe it. It's like aiming and shooting, and just you build webs, and it actually looks pretty cool. And
this actually is kind of neat looking.
It's delightful looking, but evidently the demo shut off Tuesday, and I forgot to play it. So, god damn it, I really want to play it.
It's like Spider-Man, but you're an actual spider.
Yeah, a little bit cute spider.
You're way over time. I mean, I know you had a small interruption, but
Small interruption. You took up half my fucking thing. My thank you this week goes to Vanillaware. You guys put together a pretty fucking good video game. I'm glad I got to play 13 Sentinels.
They've been known to do that from time to time.
I think I'm going to hunt down a copy of Odin Sphere and play that. I
you
never
have
played
played
Odin Sphere.
Muramasa before, right?
I've never played a Vanillaware game before.
Oh, dude, Muramasa is so good.
Muramasa? Okay, I'll look it. And my last thing is actually congratulations. Congrats to Self Torment in chat. His wife gave birth this evening to a baby boy named Axel.
Itself.
Axel.
So,
GNR
Self.
fan?
Maybe.
No, definitely a Kingdom Hearts fan.
Oh God, you're probably right.
There are probably people out there. Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy for you, Self Torment.
As he holds his hand to his forehead, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
And that was my 4-player 5-minute.
That was your 4-player minute? All right. Well, my 4-player minute starts now. You knew this was coming. Brad's already smiling like he knows what's coming.
Oh no, smiling for other reasons.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
No,
I'm
sad about your news. Go ahead.
I've got 4 hypes this week. My first hype, PlayStation 5 release. I'll be honest, I'm super excited. This is also tied to my other hype, which is the nightmare is over. I got my new monitor. I got a wired internet connection in my room. Everything's smooth as butter now. It's beautiful. But because of the situation I ended up in, I ended up having to return 2 monitors. And I had paid for this monitor like a month and a half ago. So I got an Amazon credit of $400 and something bucks. So all my games for the next like 6 months are basically paid now, which is cool.
I don't think that's how money works, but
I mean,
like,
I paid for the monitor in August, and I wasn't expecting to get the return back as an Amazon credit, so it's not going back on my bank account. So I'm just like, the money I was expecting to spend in November is already paid for. I'm taking care of that. So that's cool.
3 seconds left.
My third hype is Amnesia Rebirth, which comes out next Tuesday, which I'll be streaming on Tuesday. I don't know how far I'll make it, but I love that game, or I love Amnesia as a series, so I'm super excited to play the new one. And my last hype is, of course,
it's time, Nick.
Fuck off, Brad. You're not taking this from me. Fucking Showtime is bringing back Dexter. I haven't felt like this in 8 years. I'm so like, I don't even care about anything else anymore. All the movies and TV shows and shit that I was excited for mean nothing to me anymore. I don't care about anything else. Dexter is coming back.
You don't care about James,
2021.
the new Bond movie?
No, I don't give a shit.
I don't care about Tenet.
I don't care.
Are you gonna watch all of Dexter again in preparation for
I've already started my rewatch.
There it is.
I've already started my rewatch. I'm like 4 episodes.
Nick, what if they announce that Smallville's coming back and Superman can actually fly now?
I wouldn't care.
Do you think they're going to retcon the final episode of Dexter?
I don't know. But here's the thing. This is big news because
if this miniseries or whatever does not start with an apology for the ending of Dexter,
here's the thing.
Remember that part when Deb said she was in love with
killing me, Brad.
Wait, this isn't your 4-player minute still.
I'm talking about Dexter. I am talking about Dexter. When I'm talking about Dexter, everybody shuts up.
I'm just gonna fade out right here.
Dexter's Laboratory?
It's all right. Go ahead, Brad. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, it was nothing you wanted to hear.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Remember when Deb professed her love for Dexter, and then the writers were just like, let's forget that happened.
You are literally just straight up spoiling shit right now at a time when people are actually probably maybe watching the series for the first time.
Well, no one knows who those people are then.
You think they'll pull a Dallas?
It was all a dream.
Yeah, it was
actually,
all
that
a
is
dream.
kind of a spoiler.
Here's the thing. It's the original showrunner, the guy who did the first 4 seasons, the seasons that everybody loves.
The good seasons.
The good, yes, as many people would call it, the quote unquote good seasons. He's the one coming back. That's like the most important piece of this news, aside from the fact that Michael C. Hall is coming back. Dude, I'm just saying, I'm super hyped. I'm super excited because I've been waiting for this announcement for literally years, and I thought the best I could hope for was maybe a movie. Like maybe they would do a Deadwood. You know what I mean? Like do a movie and come back and give it a proper ending. 10 new episodes? What the fuck? Like I had.
But here's the thing, Nick. Who the fuck has Showtime?
I do.
Like, really?
Yeah, I got Showtime because
There's
during the last-
dozens of you.
during the last season of Homeland. I got it, and I still have my subscription. So I'll probably just cancel it until next fall. But
That's
the point
like
is-
what's that other one? That's I even forget after Showtime. So it's like an E or something.
Stars?
Epics.
Epics?
Is it Epics? Or is it?
Yeah.
What is that one that the one with Clive Owen when he was like a doctor in like the 20s?
Encore. FX.
Encore. Is it Encore? No, hold on. Let me just look it up. What was the one?
Clive
with
Owen?
Clive Owen?
Cinemax.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I have no idea.
Oh wait, this is still the
Owen.
podcast. We should end this
Yeah.
podcast. Bye.
Okay,
Okay,
guys,
bye.
y'all don't get to do that. Guys, thank you so much.
Cinemax.
You're killing me.
We're fading out now.
I faded out 5 minutes ago.
All right, Nick, lead
Thanks for
us
listening,
out.
Fucking thanks for listening. Go vote. Watch Dexter. 4playernetwork.com. We'll see you next week for the show. Peace out.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.